Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health, we tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. I used to think milk was the safest thing in my kitchen. A warm glass before bed. What could possibly be harmful about that? I believed it helped me sleep better, that it strengthened my bones, that it kept my aging brain from drifting too far from the woman I once was. Every evening, I would pour myself a small glass, 8 ounces, just like the label suggested. It was the kind of milk that came with all the bells and whistles, calcium, vitamin D, brain support, senior friendly. The packaging was comforting, like a promise in print. And so I drank, night after night, quietly, faithfully. No one told me that at my age, too much calcium at night can harden the very blood vessels feeding your brain. No one warned me that vitamin D, helpful though it is, can boost calcium absorption to dangerous levels when taken at the wrong time. And certainly, no one said that your blood pressure naturally rises at night, just when your body is most dehydrated and your arteries most fragile. But I learned the hard way. It started with little things. I'd wake up feeling slightly foggy more than usual. I blamed it on age, on the weather, on the memory of a restless dream. Then came the stumbles. Not real falls, just moments where I'd lose my balance for half a second walking across the kitchen floor. A word would escape me mid-sentence, like a bird flying off a windowsill. My husband Tom noticed too, but neither of us said anything. We'd seen enough friends fade slowly. We didn't want to believe it could start with us. And then one morning, I didn't wake up fully at all. Tom found me slumped over the kitchen table. My right hand was twitching. I couldn't find the words to speak. My eyes were open, but it was as if a wall had gone up between my thoughts and my mouth. It wasn't a massive stroke, not the kind you see in hospital dramas with alarms and shouting, but it was enough to steal part of me, my confidence, my clarity, my rhythm. Enough for the doctor to look me gently in the eyes and say, "Margaret, something's been quietly building for a while now." He showed me my blood results. Calcium too high, vitamin D above safe range, blood pressure unstable at night, but I hadn't changed much in my diet. I hadn't taken pills or supplements. Just one thing I said, milk, every night. The doctor nodded. That might be the quiet trigger. At first I felt betrayed. How could something so wholesome be hurting me? How could something I trusted, something I grew up with, be silently turning against my body? But then I understood. Milk wasn't the enemy. It was me choosing it, blindly, using it the wrong way, without understanding how my body had changed with age. I had kept the same habits I had at 40, at 60, thinking my body would just follow along. I didn't know that as we grow older, our kidneys slow down, our arteries stiffen, and our tolerance narrows, like a hallway in a shrinking house. I had switched to low-fat milk, thinking it would be easier on my heart. But no one told me about the phosphate additives, those invisible chemicals added to make the milk creamier, last longer, sound healthier. My aging kidneys couldn't flush them out, and so they quietly settled in damaging vessels, clouding clarity. I had tried soy milk, hoping it would be gentler on my system. But the one I picked was fortified with estro-balance, a phrase that meant nothing to me then. I didn't know it was packed with plant estrogens that could interfere with my already fragile vascular system. Not dangerous for everyone, but for an older brain like mine, risky. Very risky. It wasn't just milk, it was trusting labels more than my own body. It was not realizing that good things used the wrong way can slowly become harmful. It was believing that what helped me at 30 would still help me at 70. I used to think one glass couldn't possibly matter. Now I know it does. But here's the grace in it all. I didn't have to give up milk. I just had to change how I welcomed it into my life. My doctor suggested this. If you want to keep drinking milk, switch it to the morning. Let your body use the calcium when it's active. Let the sun in your movements guide where that calcium goes into your bones, not your arteries. And so I changed, slowly, gently. Now I drink a small glass of unsweetened almond milk or oat milk after breakfast, not before bed. If I choose dairy, I pick simple, full-fat options without additives, and only when my body feels like it wants it, not out of routine. I also started paying attention, real attention. I read labels, not slogans. I asked questions, not just at the doctor's office, but of myself. Do I feel clear today? Is this helping me? Or just familiar? And I listened to the small signs, the morning lightness or heaviness, the words that come easily or don't, the feeling in my step as I water the plants. I've swapped bedtime milk for something else, now a mug of warm herbal tea, a soft playlist, the quiet gratitude of having made it through another day. Aware awake here. There's power in that. There's power in knowing that the things we think are helping us can sometimes hurt us. And that doesn't make us foolish. It makes us human. It makes us learners still. Tom still drinks his milk sometimes at night, but now he pauses. He watches me sip my tea, and I smile at him softly and say, just make sure your body still wants what your memory is reaching for. Some days, he switches to tea too. And so we sit two people with aging bodies and curious hearts, learning what it means to stay here, to stay present, not just through medicine or supplements or trending health drinks, but through awareness, because that I've learned is the most powerful medicine of all. If you're like me, thinking that small habits don't matter, I want to tell you something gently. They do, not because one glass will ruin you, but because one glass every day in the wrong way might quietly take something from you until the day you need it most, and it's no longer there. But also know this, you're allowed to change. You're allowed to learn at any age. You're allowed to listen to your body and begin again. I did. And every clear morning, I wake up now. That's proof enough for me. It wasn't just about the milk, though. The stroke, the calcium, levels, the fog. They were all connected to something deeper, a silent epidemic that creeps into our lives as we age. It's the slow accumulation of seemingly harmless habits, the unquestioned acceptance of societal norms, and the subtle erosion of our own bodily wisdom. I started researching not just milk, but everything I put into my body, everything I exposed myself to. I realized my medicine cabinet was another potential minefield, filled with promises and potential pitfalls. My vitamins, my supplements, even my seemingly innocent sleep aids. Each one carried its own set of risks, especially for someone my age. The doctor had initially focused on the milk, and rightly so. It was the most obvious culprit. But as I delved deeper, I discovered that my story was just one thread in a much larger tapestry of aging health and the often misleading world of wellness marketing. I began to wonder about my friends. Were they making the same mistakes? Were they too unknowingly sabotaging their health with well-intentioned choices? I started observing them more closely, paying attention to their habits, their complaints, their subtle declines. What I found was both alarming and deeply concerning. My friend Eleanor, for instance, swore by her nightly dose of melatonin, claiming it was the only thing that helped her sleep. But I noticed she was increasingly forgetful, often repeating stories and struggling to recall names. Could the melatonin be contributing to her cognitive decline. Another friend, Charles, was a devoted follower of the latest fitness trends, pushing himself to the limit with high-intensity workouts, despite his doctor's warnings about his fragile knees and elevated blood pressure. Was he doing more harm than good? And then there was Sarah, who religiously followed a restrictive diet, eliminating entire food groups in the name of health. But she looked pale and exhausted, and her hair was starting to thin. Was her pursuit of the perfect diet actually making her sick? As I reflect on everything, I'm strangely grateful for the warning my stroke gave me. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but it forced me to pause, to rethink, to truly pay attention. I'm thankful I found a group of people who were just like me, curious, cautious, and tired of chasing empty promises. In that little circle, we shared questions, stories, and the simple comfort of being understood. Aging no longer felt like something broken to be fixed, but a stage to be approached with respect and care. And yes, strangely enough, it all began with a single glass of milk. Not because milk is harmful by nature, it isn't, but because I didn't realize how age changes everything, how timing, quantity, and even the type of milk could slowly start working against me. When I look back now, I see it wasn't just milk, it was all the different kinds I tried without understanding their effects. The high-calcium milk with added vitamin D, the low-fat versions packed with phosphate additives, even the soy milk full of plant-based estrogens. Each of them had a good story on the label, but used in the wrong way at the wrong time, they quietly added up to real risks. Still, I didn't give up milk completely. I just made smarter choices. I switched to simpler options, whole milk in small amounts, or unsweetened, plant-based milks without the extra ingredients. And most importantly, I started drinking them in the morning when my body was awake and active enough to actually use the nutrients. Health 2660. Thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.